Good evening. My name is Irene Watson, and I live in Pasco, Rhode Island. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Senator Fogarty for bringing this bill forward, and also Cale Keeble for the House part. I must admit that I was one of the people that was very much asleep at the wheel. People wonder why you would live near a compressor station knowing that a power plant could go in at any time. I live near that compressor station. I didn't find it to be too bothersome until recently when they doubled the capacity of it. But I never dreamed that Burrillville would have another power plant and have a compressor station. So why would I be worried to live 2,500 feet from the proposed site of the power plant? I am in support of this Senate bill to change the EFSB to a greater quantity of members. I just have to say that professionally, I am a nurse practitioner. I've worked on many boards. I've actually been on the board of the Rhode Island State Nurses for 4 years as a member. And I've always found that working with members of 7 to 9 people is not cumbersome. It brings more to the table. There's more discussion. There's more brain power. And usually you're able to get things done in a pretty timely fashion. And it doesn't seem to be too unwielding with that amount of people. So I do support that. You know, someone asked, well, why would Mr. Elmer say you can throw it? You know, you can throw that part of the bill out. I've spoken with Mr. Elmer, and I've listened to him a number of times, and I know how he feels for us as a community. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think it's a Sophie's choice. I mean, I think he just feels if they have to get something, at least give them the tax treaty. I don't think that he thinks that the other part is not important, because he didn't ever say that to us. But it's just the better of two evils. It's a choice that has to be made, and if it has to be made and we have to give the other part up, at least give us the tax treaty. As for the ability to have the referendum on the tax treaty, I do strongly support this measure to further strengthen the negotiating capacity. I agree. I mean, you know, we can't do this unless you give more to our people. Regarding the tax treaty, it is already specific to Burrillville. There is that law that's been enacted, so it's really just changing a law that's already on the books that's specific to us anyway. As far as the union members, I know they mentioned a lot about the airplanes, and I've heard a lot about that. I don't think it's on the same playing field, but with what I heard tonight and all of the meetings that I've been to, we have been told that this is not a peak facility. This is a continuous facility, and it will have those rises to adjust to peak as well, but it's going to be a continuous hum, and that would be at around a 55 decibel range. And then the experts have told us that there is no way that they would be able to avoid a 90 decibel limit when it powers up and when it comes down, and that is about 2 hours. So I think that when you want to compare it to an airport, you would have to say that that jet is taking off over your house for 2 hours twice a day, and those times are 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. And I have done research on this, and if you wanted to know, I know it doesn't pertain to the bill, but as far as what the effects on the body are at 90 decibels, it is extreme anxiety, it is sleeplessness, it is increased insomnia, inability to concentrate, and for the animals, it actually interferes with their mating ability because they're not able to hear the mating calls. I also do not agree with some who say that the bill will there was an article this weekend in the paper saying that basically we would not be extending the welcome mat. Well, I say that this bill would make sure that we are not the proverbial doormat. We are a poor community, and if you want to research that, if you look at poor communities in Rhode Island, you will see that, of course, Providence, Pawtucket, I was surprised to see Narragansett was on the list. Newport is on the list. Woonsocket, which I'm not surprised about, but Pasco is on that list as well. We are considered a poor community, and I do believe we need to be, we do need to be considered in that regard. We also hold a state hospital that has very incapacitated patients up there that rely on the water, and you already heard that it could take a very long time if that water supply was damaged. Okay. All right, many of the people have in the world have many beliefs surrounding this power plant, and I think that they're based in two things. One is money and one is fear. The fear is that the Burrillville citizens will lose their crown jewel and their rural open space and environment. And once we lose that, we can never get it back. We travel, most of us, about 40 minutes to work, and we do that for a reason, because we want to be in the area of Burrillville with the quiet. We're also very concerned and fearful of using that tainted MBTE water. I was one of the people that was not awake to the actual suffering that had occurred during that time and how many people it impacted until I became part of this group. And I can tell you that I don't think Burrillville can survive another hit like that. It is deep into the core and the soul of our community, what has happened there. And I do think that I would like, we have heard that there's no need for this plant. I guess that's in contention, but in the February ISO, they did not get what they wanted as far as their capacity. Invenergy is very much hot to have this all over because they take a chance of losing a lot of money because they're on a timeline. But Invenergy took that chance. They bought the capacity without having the permits completed, and now they are on the hot seat. But that was their gamble. You heard tonight that there were two ways they could have went, and they decided to do this. I will say to you, in my opinion, they thought that this was an easy deal, that they were going to slip into Burrillville, they were going to put that plan in there because we're poor people, we were going to be greedy, we were going to say we wanted the money, and there we go. Well, you know what? We don't have bad taxes. We have great water. We have great parks. We have Boy Scout camps for all of your family to attend. And we don't have a problem with our taxes. We don't have very high electric bills. And so we said, you know what? It's more important to us to keep what we have. And I do have one other thing, two things I want to say. Number one, I want to get a little bit personal because I can do that tonight because my daughter-in-law and my son are not here. And also I want to tell you that I pretty much believe that I am the friend that Paul McDonald was talking about, that he hoped that we could maintain our friendship. We have ridden horses together for about 20 years, and he has been on my property numerous times. We are on the opposite side of this issue. I respect him. He respects me, and I hope that we will be fine when all of this is done. We will all have to live with whatever decision is made. And so, yes, Paul, I think we will find our way back. No matter what happens, it may take some time. The second thing is I am the grandmother of the child, Evan, that Mr. Trank was talking about. So my grandson, Evan, was born 10 years ago with a very fatal disease called congenital central hypoventilation syndrome, and he does not breathe when he sleeps. He was on a ventilator for about 6 years. He had a miraculous surgery done 4 years ago in which he had diaphragmatic pacemakers placed into his chest so that now he can breathe and be off of the ventilator for much of the time. We live near each other, and as I said, we did break up our property, and we do have somewhat of a compound because when you have a disabled child, it takes a village. And so we need the clean air. He is an at-risk child. He will be affected by this. I don't believe if it goes through that we will be able to live there. I am perfectly prepared that if the decision does not go the way that I would like, then we will live and we will go on and we will do well. But I do want you to realize that this is very personal. It is not just not in my backyard. I hope that you help us. I would like to have you help us in this process, and please pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for this witness? Thank you. The next group of witnesses. What?
Oh, can I add one more thing?
Briefly.
Okay, yeah. I just also want to stress the importance, at least for our organization's standpoint, of, this committee passing a bill that matches the bill that was passed by the House. As you all know, like, the session's quickly winding down, and I think, some of the changes to the House version were really like common sense and good, basic, minor changes, and just to keep that in consideration.
The next group of witnesses.